It's 11 p.m. You've finally finished your day, the lights are low, and you're just starting to relax on the couch. But then you see it. Out of the corner of your eye, a pair of pupils expand until they've swallowed almost the entire iris. Your cat's tail starts giving that rhythmic, twitchy thud against the floor. Then, without any warning, they launch. They aren't just running, they're a blur of fur, banking off the sofa, scaling the curtains, and doing a literal wall flip into the kitchen. By the time you even realize what happened, they've vanished into the dark, leaving behind a crooked picture frame and a very confused owner. Most people just call this the midnight Zoomies. They think their cat has just lost its mind for a few minutes. But if you look closer, it's not just random chaos, it's a very specific, high-intensity night shift outing. Welcome to the Cat Lab. Today, we're looking at why your cat isn't just acting crazy. They're actually running tactical drills. We're going to talk about the why behind all that energy, how your living room has basically become a training ground, and why you, as the unsuspecting roommate, are usually the main target of these tiny, fluffy, tactical maneuvers. So grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's talk about why your cat is actually a tactical genius with way too much free time. To understand why your cat turns into a parkour master at midnight, we have to look at their internal operating system. Evolution doesn't just go away because a cat moved into a house. Your cat is running on hunting software that was perfected over millions of years. This software is built for the high-stakes life of a predator. In the wild, a cat's day is made of short, explosive bursts of energy followed by a lot of napping. But in your house, the hunt has been replaced by a bowl that magically refills itself. This leads to what we call neural surplus. They have all this high-octane fuel and absolutely nowhere to burn it. When the sun goes down and those natural instincts kick in, that energy has to go somewhere. This is essentially a system overload. When your cat suddenly sprints across the hallway, they're basically testing the brakes. Think of it like a driver doing a warm-up lap. They're checking the traction on your floors, seeing how much grip they have on the rug, and figuring out exactly how much launch velocity they need to reach the top of the fridge. It's a system diagnostic for their muscles, but it's also about high-speed cornering. Have you ever noticed how your cat uses the furniture as a berm to maintain speed? That's not an accident. They are practicing angular momentum. They want to know exactly how much force they can apply to the side of your armchair without wiping out. If they don't do these high-speed laps, they start to feel a bit rusty. They need to know that if a threat appeared, even if it's just the vacuum, they can hit their top speed instantly. It's also about calibration. We've all seen the butt wiggle. It looks cute, but it's actually a pretty smart calculation. When they wiggle their back end, they're treading the ground to make sure their launch pads have a solid grip. At the same time, their inner ear, the vestibular system, is acting as a targeting computer, figuring out the exact path needed to hit a target. We call this the pre-launch shuffle. Without that wiggle, they don't have the data they need to make the jump perfectly. If the floor is too slippery or the rug is too bunched up, the targeting computer aborts the mission. That's why you sometimes see them get ready to pounce, wiggle, and then just walk away. The data didn't match the mission. Now, let's talk about your role in all this. Being a cat owner means you're part of their practice sessions whether you like it or not. To your cat, you aren't just the person who opens the cans. You're a moving obstacle. If you've ever walked through the house in the dark and felt like you were being stalked, you probably were. This is the ankle ambush. To a cat with too much energy, your feet are the perfect dynamic targets. They're unpredictable, they make noise, and they're the perfect size to practice on. Your cat uses your ankles for stealth practice. They aren't trying to trip you on purpose, they're just testing their ability to stay hidden while moving through the busiest territory hubs in the house. Then there's the object testing. We've all been there. The cat sitting on the coffee table, looking you in the eye, and slowly nudging your keys toward the edge. You think they're being a gremlin, and while that's true, they're also checking the gravity settings of the room. Cats are obsessed with how things move and react. When they knock something over, they're gathering data on object displacement. They want to see how fast it falls and what kind of sound it makes. It's tactical curiosity. They're checking the physics of their environment to make sure everything is consistent. We also have to mention territory recon. When you bring home a grocery bag, your cat has to stick their head in it immediately. It's a security sweep. You've brought an unknown, unscented object into their space, and as the landlord, they feel obligated to inspect it for anything interesting or out of the ordinary. But what about the post-Zoomie groom? You've seen it. Your cat finishes a 100-mile-per-hour sprint, stops dead in the middle of the floor, and starts licking their paw like nothing happened. This is the ultimate cool down. It resets their adrenaline levels and signals to their brain that the drill is officially over. It's the feline equivalent of a mission debrief. So, how do we live with a roommate who's always on? The answer isn't to try and stop them, it's to help them focus that energy. If your cat is using your face as a launching pad at 2 a.m., their energy reserves are just too full. You need to help them with a controlled burn. One of the best ways to do this is by giving them more high ground. Cats feel much more relaxed when they can oversee their territory from above. By adding cat trees or wall shelves, you create a 3D tactical map. This lets them run their lookout protocols from a safe distance, which usually stops them from having to sprint across your furniture. When the Zoomies do hit, try to direct that energy. Instead of just letting them go wild, give them a primary objective with a toy. But here's the most important tip. The catch is mandatory. If a cat hunts a laser but never actually catches anything, their brain stays in that high alert mode. They never get that satisfaction feeling. To end a session properly, always switch from a laser to a physical toy they can grab and kick. This tells their hunting software that the job is done and it's finally time to enter sleep mode. Another thing to consider is environmental enrichment. Sometimes the Zoomies are a sign of boredom. Simple things like a cardboard box, which we call a mobile bunker, can provide hours of mental stimulation. It gives them a place to practice their hide-and-seek skills without needing to run laps around your bedroom. When you work with their instincts, you move from being a moving obstacle to a tactical partner. You'll find that once they finish their drills for the night, they're much more likely to settle down and be the chill companion you were looking for. At the end of the day, your cat isn't weird. They're just a masterpiece of nature that happens to live in a house with Wi-Fi. Once you start seeing the Zoomies as tactical drills, you realize your landlord is actually just keeping their skills sharp. They're preparing for a world that doesn't exist anymore. But their dedication is pretty impressive when you think about it. But I'd love to hear from you. Does your cat have a favorite training drill or a specific spot where they love to stage an ambush? Maybe they have a very particular way of testing the brakes on your kitchen tiles. Let us know in the comments. The Cat Lab Collective is always looking for more data on these tiny masterminds. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to see more forensic reports on feline behavior, consider subscribing to the Cat Lab. We're here to help you understand the why behind the fluff, one investigation at a time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.